Societal and political trends are rapidly breaking down the family that once was the cornerstone of our great American culture. At FIT, we know you cannot get this information on your own, so we'll bring it to your TV every single week. And we always invite all opposing views. In light of the recent tampering of red light cameras in Suffolk County, New York, investigations are proving themselves evident for cessation and at least further review of red light camera operations. Much like many other places in this country, every day safe drivers are caught with the most minor of infractions without a witness and by surprise, obviating the traffic conditions beyond the scope of the camera shot itself. It is a scam, Stephen Ruth said when he was caught moving cameras from their moorings. Truthfully, I agree with Mr. Ruth and Hector Gavilla, major proponents of the removal of Big Brother, and they're both with me today to talk about the scam and the incredible nuisance, it is a nuisance, of the red light cameras. And Stephen Ruth is on my left, and Hector Gavilla on my right. All right, guys, so now from the beginning, you are, Stephen, apparently you had moved the cameras and you got the title on News 12 of being the Robin Hood.
The red light Robin Hood,
All right,
yeah.
Tell me quickly, what motivated you to do that and what happened to you?
I was actually sitting with my son in traffic. Well, there was a couple of things that motivated me to do it. At that location, it was that location motivated me because I saw senior citizens being tricked into getting tickets. After they were stopping and looking left at the LIA Service Road and Ocean Avenue, exit 59, they were making their right-hand turn onto the LIA Service Road, and they were getting ticketed. And I saw the camera flashing with each senior citizen, and I said to my son, you see these people, they're unaware of their surroundings, they're not aware that they're being photographed, and they're stopping, they're looking, and they're going, and they're being ticketed over and over and over and over at the same intersection. Then that Sunday in church, I approached my priest about it because we're close, and he told me that he had been getting ticketed, and that he had received 4 tickets in the same type of manner where he was being tricked into tickets. After looking left, waiting, and making the right when he was clear, he was still receiving tickets. And he told me he had never been pulled over nor ticketed in his life, and he figured that he thought, honestly, that these were fraudulent tickets, that they were not legitimate tickets. And with that, I grown more
aware of it, right?
Aware of the situation, and then I saw the senior citizens being preyed upon at Ocean Avenue and the North Service Road, and I decided that I was going to make a video. So I made the video the next day on the way to work, and then I showed it to a few attorney friends of mine who agreed that the cameras were illegal and unconstitutional, they had not been voted on by the public, and that they were basically, they were abuse, and it was the government taking advantage, and that they were giving tickets that police officers would not normally give, and that they were trying to rewrite laws in regards to laws waiting 3 seconds when you don't have to wait 3 seconds.
Under the guise of safety.
Yeah, and basically, my attorneys told me that I could do whatever I want with the video, that they don't think that that's a prosecutable crime because the cameras are illegal and unconstitutional, nor were they permitted as far as the variances needed to have cameras that close to main roads. It's obviously encroaching. It's obviously encroaching on bike riders, walkers, anybody who's in that area can trip over either the pole they can walk into, or they can definitely trip over the stumps that they leave after they move.
It's also a real estate property issue too.
I was driving on the LIE. I was traveling westbound at exit 55, I believe it is, Route 111, and there's 56. a PC Richards right there, and there's a camera light, and I'm on the LIE traveling 60 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour, and I notice a flash. I look over, I see PC Richards, and I say, I know that intersection. That camera down there at the service road is affecting me above as I'm traveling to go see the tree in Manhattan. So it's more than just the abuse on the public, it's also the people with autism, and not autism, epilepsy.
And brain issues, brain sensitive issues.
Like when kids that have epilepsy can't play Guitar Hero, just because they can't play Guitar Hero doesn't mean that they could be driven around all over Suffolk getting flashes in their face and it not affect them. It definitely isn't safe for people with epilepsy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then when I saw the video on Facebook and I saw this was the moment to do something about it, because as I had told you in your last show, I hated the cameras for many, many years, and I knew that this was a scam, and it's something that's not right to do this to people.
I appreciate the both of you stepping up to the plate on this issue, because not too many people would, even in our issue when we find families are hurting.
And you
so
know,
much. We
like
need
I
to
said
do
from the
something
beginning,
for people.
I'm not going to let any politician extort my priest or senior citizens who fought for our country's freedom, whether it be Vietnam, Korea, World War II. We have senior citizens all over Long Island being abused by these cameras that laid their lives on the line for our country.
Right.
And we weren't having it. We're still not having it.
Good.
Enough
Yeah.
is enough.
No,
Now, one of the
Thank
things that
goodness
we
for that.
did right
Welcome.
away was we went to legislative meetings and we introduced ourselves and we voiced our displeasure with these cameras,
Right.
and we talked about facts. And the facts are that these are not decreasing accidents, they're increasing rear-end collisions. And they're also making people very upset.
They tried to cover up the rear-end collisions, I heard. Because I
Yeah,
first
just like they
mentioned
tried
that
to
too.
cover up the quota.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what we found out too was that the installation of the cameras is decided based on a quota that Xerox, which is the vendor for Suffolk County, in the contract that they have with Suffolk County, mandates that there has to be a minimum of 25 violations per day. And what they do is they set up a temporary video camera in a location that they're thinking about putting a permanent camera in, and they'll set it up for one day.
As a test?
As a test, yes, a temporary video camera on a pole pointing to an intersection, a location, and then if that temporary camera produces what they believe is about 25 tickets or more a day, then they will put a permanent camera in there. And it's in black and white in the contracts. But what also is very disturbing to us is that the locations that we have found that they place them in are not in the areas that historically have high accidents. They put them in front of shopping center, grocery stores, supermarkets,
Home Depots.
shopping
Tricking the working
centers.
class into
Right,
tickets.
right.
Right.
Not to mention that I was saying the other day how these cameras don't extend past William Floyd Parkway, nor are they installed in the affluent areas like Stony Brook, Setauket has hardly any. Bayport, Blue Point, Patchogue,
So
no
there was
cameras.
high impact, low income, high population.
Well, you know what? They're just preying upon the working class. They're affecting the delivery drivers, the taxi drivers, the
Traveling
everyday
salesmen.
people traveling to and from work. They're not affecting the affluent people. It's not a county program.
I do want to answer Chris's question. Every year, Suffolk County is supposed to produce an annual report similar to this report, and you can download it from the Suffolk County website.
Face
as
that
well.
camera and just to give the name of
And
the support.
This
name of
is this is an annual report, and what they do is this is one example, but every year they produce a report from the previous year, and it does include the total number of intersections that have cameras and the total number of cameras. Some intersections may have 2 cameras, some may have 3, some may have 4.
Who's the report for?
The report is for the government. It's a requirement from New York State. Because
Not to back up the contract with Xerox or anything like that.
No,
I mean,
this is
not,
just
none
something-
of the statistics are used to support them, is it?
No, it's not. It's supposed to. It's a requirement from New York State. To give you a little background history on how the cameras came to play in New York, several years ago, New York State changed the laws to allow red light cameras, photo cameras, to be placed. And the first city in the country to have any type of red light enforcement camera system was New York City for many years. And then Nassau County, and then followed by Suffolk County. And the idea was that the counties, the cities, had to apply, make an application to the state, and the state gave approval eventually to Suffolk County to implement this program into Suffolk County.
And they also said that
Okay?
the fines shall not exceed $50. And every time they charge a customer $85, or I should say a victim rather,
Yeah.
it's actually a felony.
That's a,
Well,
how do you get that?
It's overstepping,
It's a
overstepping
it's
the
a
enabling
They're calling it a
statute.
surcharge, right?
Well,
Yeah, and
add
they're
on an
overstepping
additional
the
fee.
enabling statute.
New York State, well, to answer your question from before, they have a requirement that if they give approval to Suffolk County is supposed to follow some rules. And what Stephen's talking about is part of the rules are that they're supposed to only charge $50, but $50 wasn't good enough. So Suffolk County added another $30 surcharge, admin fee.
How did they make that determination? What do you mean good enough? I mean,
Because, well, here's the way it works.
it was a cost. It's a cost issue. I'll bet you any money. There's not enough money to put to make out of it.
No. It's a revenue issue. Revenue issue, because let me explain this as well. Okay, one of the things that Suffolk County brags about is that it costs them nothing to operate this program. Xerox operates the entire program. They pay for the installation, the maintenance, the repair. They do everything. They do it all, and they're in a profit-sharing business, a revenue-sharing business with Suffolk County. They collect the fines, and then they divide it up with Suffolk County. But that amount that they divided up from the $50 that Stephen talked about wasn't good enough for Suffolk County. So a few years ago, Suffolk County added a bogus $30 admin fee. So what you're really paying is $50 plus $30. That's $80 anytime you get one of these red light camera tickets. The $50 is split between Xerox and Suffolk County.
Okay, that was
the
my
$30,
question,
100% of that $30 goes to Suffolk County.
I thought it was 35.
No, it's 30.
No, I think it is 30. I remember seeing $80 for
NASA may have some other program, but this is specifically about Suffolk County. It is in the contract, all of these changes.
Do you know any of the differences with the city? Because I've got 2 tickets from New York City recently, also
I
red light.
don't know the program in the city as well, but I also know that in the city, they also have speed cameras. And one of the great things about what Stephen and I and our group has done is that they're not even talking anymore about speed cameras. And we have some legislators who are on our side, like Robert Trotta, who has actually told us in person that because of our activism, they have stopped talking about implementing speed cameras in Suffolk County. Now, that was a disaster in Nassau. Nassau, they tried, and for about a week or two, they were giving out so many tickets that the citizens complained, and they yanked the speed cameras out of Nassau County. And Suffolk County was about to implement it, but they decided not to because of the bad publicity that they had in Nassau County. However, there were legislators who were upset because they were already planning on spending that money.
Right.
Okay, because they already had figured out how much they were going to make in that following year. However, there were legislators before Stephen and I came on the scene that were planning on introducing it in another way, perhaps on the LIE.
It's a good thing you got him, you nipped it in the bud.
Yes, so when people say, what have we done? We've actually made a lot of progress in a short time, believe it or not. And we made people very aware.
Within 1 month
of
of my arrest, we had the Republican legislators on our side recognizing that the lights were shorter where cameras were located and saying that it was just a money grab, that it was just nothing but.
And what was wonderful about that is that there were some of those legislators had actually voted for the program the first time and to renew it another 5 years. And because of our discussions and meetings
and
with
video
them
evidence
and evidence,
they just fell in line because they knew it was a moneymaker for the county.
Right, and what happened was the evidence is overwhelming the facts. When you give facts and you show that this is a corrupt system, and we have a copy of the contract, as I mentioned, that there's a quota.
Not to mention they lie and lie and lie and lie and lie, and then we produce the facts, like concrete evidence. You've been lying the whole time. They look like morons.
Right, and the ones who still think that it's a good program, I know that in their hearts they don't believe it, but you know there's some legislators who propose the program.
And they're primarily Democrats, though, right?
Yeah, they are primarily Democrats.
Are all Democrats.
But you know the thing is that it's probably embarrassing for them to admit that it failed. Okay, I'm sure there's some of them that
embarrass them, ladies and gentlemen, please.
But I'm sure some of them had good intentions. However, what they're not realizing is that look, perception's reality. People out there do believe that the yellow lights are being shortened.
Everybody knows it.
As a result,
there's
what
no
they're
way.
doing
That was
is
another
they're
thing, the
stopping
timing of the
short.
yellow lights.
They're stopping short. And this annual report, Chris, that I was just talking to you about, they actually keep track of accidents. Rear-end collisions have gone up every year since
And they
the
denied
cameras
that
were
initially when at
installed.
first, I remember talking about it. I was one of the first people that complained about it.
Correct.
I have a few of those. Before I even knew you guys, I was complaining about the problems in Nassau County.
You can go to the Suffolk County website where they post this annual report, and you will see that in every location where they installed these red light cameras, the rear-end collisions have increased.
Not to mention, when people die in front of these cameras, they don't even allow the families to see the videos.
No kidding. I didn't know there were some deaths on
Now,
that.
there were some deaths. Now, that may be a little challenging to prove or not that they were because of the red light cameras. However,
But nevertheless, they won't even let them see the
evidence.
videos.
It's evidence. It should be produced.
Let me put it to you this way. You know, Stephen knows a father who unfortunately lost his son. It was at a red light camera intersection.
I interviewed multiple families who lost people in camera light intersections, and the first thing they said that they noticed different about the intersection was the short yellow lights.
Right.
Yeah, that's
In
another
every
thing. That was, you
circumstance.
got my
Also,
next question. What was the
not to
timing?
interrupt you, but
on the lights?
what I wanted to say about that incident and incidents all over, the behavior that it's changing with drivers
for the worse.
Oh,
is
yeah,
that they're
please.
looking up at the light and they're not looking ahead, and it's making it more dangerous for pedestrians. That has happened to me already, where I am looking up and then all of a sudden you see a pedestrian in the walkway, and this is what's going on.
Sure.
You're either stopping short and causing a rear end collision,
Sure.
or you're looking
That's a
up and hoping
natural
that you make it
reaction to
through.
do what tries to avoid the
And
problems
as
that you're
you're
gonna face.
turning, as you're turning, you're looking
Yep.
up, and there could be, unfortunately, someone riding a bicycle
Right.
or crossing the street, and you may hit that person. And there have been
It's making your eyes go any
pedestrian-
other places.
Right. So when
Not to
you
mention,
have
we
to
noticed
pause when
that their
you
intersections engineering is so poor that when you press the walk button to be able to walk across the intersection, and the light's green, there's cars still racing through the intersection. That's how poorly engineered they are. And we have video evidence of this in the same intersection where people have been hit and killed.
Now you had a question about the timing.
Yeah, the question I was concerned about was that the yellow, apparently that's an issue, the yellow lights.
The
How
yellow
long
light, I
they're
thought that the
timed
3-second
out.
yellow problem was only on the left-hand turn, but now I had the same experience with the straightaway. When I was driving a box truck only about 2 weeks ago, I had my girlfriend next to me, and I said, we're past the point of no return, which means I couldn't stop if the thing went yellow, the light. And sure enough, it went yellow at that time. I couldn't stop. I couldn't clear the intersection before it went red. I got the ticket. I'm sure I can expect it in the mail any day. And she knew firsthand that there was no way I could stop. And if somebody had tried to stop in front of me in a Corolla or a Camry or a Honda or something, I wouldn't have been able to stop in time, and I would have definitely had to.
And you were in a
rear
box
end
truck,
I was in a
right?
box
So-
truck filled with appliances.
Yeah.
So they give you 5 seconds at Middle Country Road and County Road 83 to stop when you're supposed to be able to be traveling 45 miles an hour. That's not enough for a box truck, especially if you have people in
Correct,
front of you
correct.
stopping.
Now, Chris, the other thing too is when we're interviewing people and people are approaching us, they're thanking us every day for what we're doing.
Even
seriously.
Suffolk County
yeah.
police
Oh, yeah.
officers. When I was first arrested, the police officers told me they supported me and that they were calling me a hero in the precinct. I didn't understand it, and then when I got out and the police officers started calling me, telling me that they had done their own
Doesn't it seem
investigation.
like common sense that they agree to it right away?
The
They
The
put
police
it-
officers told me they had been doing their own investigation into the shortening of the yellow lights for a long time.
Now, what I wanted to say also is that the majority of these tickets are being given to people who are making turns. They can be
Rights
left
on red,
turns,
yep.
right turns on red, or the left turns at the turning arrows. And the reason for that we learned was that think about what you do when you make a right turn or a left turn. You slow down. And when you slow down, then the people behind you also slow down. And the slowing down creates what's called a dilemma, and it increases the dilemma zone. And these engineers perpetrate this on purpose to trap
Any place you need
people.
to slow down
Because
before
if it's a
entering the
40-mile
intersection.
zone and now you're making a right turn, you went from 40 to 20 miles per hour, and now
You
all
need
of
to
a
add
sudden,
3 extra seconds to the turning light.
it creates
to
a
the turning arrow.
dilemma, and if the light is only 2-3 seconds, you're in trouble. Now, if you're in a left turning lane, for example, and you're waiting for cars in front of you, now your car is idle. It takes a few seconds to start up, so you can't quickly get into 30 miles an hour. The light's only 2 seconds. They trap you like that as well.
Excuse me one second. I'm just trying to get a still shot of what the picture looks like so when you get it in the mail. Did you get it?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. This particular ticket, you know, I had a chance to show it. This is me with the red light just turning red as they approach the intersection.
Right, right.
So I mean, I got a ticket I got this as a ticket right here. And the red light had just turned right before I got to the intersection. If you notice that the sun is behind me, see the shadows going
Yes,
this way?
yes,
I was
yes.
facing the sun. I couldn't see the light, couldn't see the yellow
That's
light.
a good
Right
point.
next to the sun.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Let me touch on that for a second.
All right.
If you go to foreign countries, their traffic lights all have sun blockers on the back of the traffic light, so the sun can't shine directly through the traffic light, and you can see.
Fabulous.
Yeah, when you have a blocker on the back of the traffic light, it accentuates the color of the traffic
Absolutely,
light.
yeah.
That way, it creates a much safer environment when you're driving. We don't do that in this country
Yeah.
because we want to earn revenue off people
Yeah.
making a
It's
right
a
on
scam,
red
ladies
or
and gentlemen.
yes,
my first two
exactly.
lights, and the reason why I complained about that, and the same type of thing happened to me here, is that my first two tickets, they said you didn't look at the yellow light, you went through the red light. When I looked at the light changing, when I drove through the intersection, again,
The
to
sun
see
was
what
behind it.
happened, no, there was a huge yellow sign behind the traffic light. And I lost it in the light. So when you're traveling through,
right,
you can't see that. And believe me, I have a picture of it, and I went to the court with it.
sure,
You think
sure.
it mattered? Now,
of
it
course
should have
not,
mattered,
sure.
shouldn't it? Absolutely should have mattered.
Sure, sure.
I could
It's
not
not
see
fair.
it.
It's not a
Why
fair
would-
system.
It's not fair, right? Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, also,
Listen,
what's not fair
court
about it is when
officers
you go to-
called us, police officers called us. We've had numerous people call us that work for the government, not willing to come forward publicly, but thanking us and telling us we're right on the money.
Absolutely.
That Suffolk County's poor business decisions and poor business negotiations made it so that they had to cut the yellow light in
was
order to
a
make
money
any
grab.
money.
I'll tell you what's not
was a
fair.
money grab
You went
from
to
the
court, and what they did in New York State is disgusting and could be possibly unconstitutional, and I'll tell you why. What they decided to do was that if you are issued this type of a ticket and a person behind the screen is looking at it on the video screen, they regard it as a civil case. And so therefore, you have no right to face them in court and ask them questions about how they
everything
decided
is civil unless it's criminal, right?
Right, but if a police officer saw the same incident and they gave you a
didn't understand
ticket,
this when you were
you would
telling
have
me
a
before.
right to go to court and face the police officer. So the same incident being viewed on a video camera, on a video computer,
no right.
by an individual who's employed by the camera
And not
vendor,
in person at the event.
right? And they're not there in person;
I
they're
see,
watching
yeah.
on a
Now I see
computer
what you're talking
screen.
about, yeah.
You see, that New York State is saying that's a civil case. But if a police officer sees it in person, he's live, he's there, then that's a criminal traffic violation, and you have a right to go to court and face him. When you go to the red light camera court and you say, I want to face the person who saw this on a video computer screen in another state, they'll say you don't have a right to do that.
Yeah, is that how they respond?
That's
That
correct.
You don't have a right?
You don't have a right.
Yes.
So what right do I have at that point?
Well, they
If
took
I-
it away, made it a
They
civil
took the
case.
right away because what they did was they said this is not criminal, it's a civil case, which is illogical, makes no sense.
Yeah, how do
Because
you just
when you have
transfer
a state,
the same type of infraction
That's
and make
right.
it civil, or you can make it criminal?
right, and then where does it stop? With other offenses, you rob a house and they have it on video, does that mean that now you don't have a trial?
Could be civil, because they put a
it's
camera in
civil?
front of it.
Do they have a right then to say it's a civil
I got
case?
you, yeah.
Understand?
Yeah.
Where does it stop? And this is where we have tyranny, and it's very scary, and this is one of the
Well, a lot of
reasons I
the
oppose this,
speakers-
because you don't have a fair trial. It's disgusting that they
Sure.
could say that this is civil just because someone saw it on a computer screen.
Change the
and it
rules.
doesn't make sense that when the government accuses you of something, that's not civil. That is supposed to be criminal, and you're supposed to have a right to a fair trial and a right to face your accuser. This is unbelievable what they're getting away with.
Yeah, how is it legal for a private corporation to photograph you and then profit from your conviction? When they can manipulate the video, how do we know that they're not manipulating videos?
And they set quotas. So you have the private company that sets the quotas, and if they don't set the quotas, then there's a fine.
The quota
that Suffolk
has to
County
be met.
pay.
The quota has to be met between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. If they don't meet their quota between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m., even if they meet it after 10 p.m., even if they get another 10, 15 tickets, they still could miss their quota.
Right. And then
Plus, anything they fall short of the quota, the county has to pay the camera company $17.25 per ticket that they fall short of the
it's
quota.
in the contract. Stephen's right. There are fines that are in there that if the camera doesn't meet the minimum requirement
the
of
quota
tickets
thing you were
per
talking about.
day,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, then Suffolk County has to pay a monthly fee to the vendor, in this case Xerox.
So
okay?
it's $2,132 per camera plus $17.25 per ticket that it falls short of the quota.
Wow. So
And the quota doesn't have to be met in 24
Zero-
hours. The quota has to be met in 16 hours of the day.
So-
After 10 p.m., they can give an extra 15, 20 tickets, and it
It
doesn't
won't matter,
apply
it
to the
doesn't
quota.
qualify.
It doesn't, yeah.
So and then the quota is basically the contract receiver would be Xerox. So Xerox has nothing to lose. Am I getting this
Right,
right?
Xerox has nothing. Well, you know what it is? Xerox is the business entity. All right, they're taking a risk like any other business when they install these systems in the intersections. So the contract guarantees that they have the final say as to where their cameras will be installed. So they set up these rules. It's a one-sided contract to make sure that they guarantee that they will get paid no matter what. That's how it's set up in the contract.
And the county has what liability toward the Xerox?
The
The
liability is the quota.
liability is the quota, but that's why
No,
they're
that's the structure of it. But I mean, if there's not enough money being generated out of that ticket location.
right. Then Xerox has to pay the monthly fee, which
No,
is
the
what-
county has to
the
pay
county has to pay that.
That's what I
pay
meant
the
to say.
monthly fee.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Okay,
I
good.
apologize. The Suffolk County has to pay Xerox.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So
the
that's their
monthly fee.
Yeah,
liability.
$2,132
So they have to
per
generate.
camera.
That's a lot.
So if they have 350 cameras in the county and they have 200 of them not generating 25 tickets between the hours
That's
of
a
6 a.m.
bunch
and
of-
10 p.m.
it's a
So
bunch
I
of
ask
money.
you,
They
how
could
would you get a
be
fair
making
trial?
$400,000 a
You
month.
can't have a fair trial because
Exactly.
these judges, these hearing officers, they work for Xerox.
Yeah.
They do, because they have to generate
Well,
enough
you
tickets.
described it in an odd way earlier on in the program. Would you say there was an unholy alliance or something with? Is it you that said it, Steve? I'm sorry.
Between Cablevision?
The relationship between Xerox and the county.
Well, there's
They're both in business.
They were both-
They're shared.
They share revenue. That's what I was saying.
Shared revenue
They're in a
experience.
business where, and actually it's a business
Well,
contract.
Xerox
that
is
they're in.
operating a business in Suffolk County, and Suffolk County is just taxing Xerox's business.
But
Well,
they're in a place
and
where
maybe
it's almost a guarantee for Xerox.
Well, it's a
guarantee for
guarantee when you
everybody.
cut the yellow lights in half.
Well, this is where the corruption begins, okay? Because what I was saying earlier is that it costs nothing for Suffolk County to operate this program. So what they're allowing Xerox to do is to operate their business. Xerox runs the entire program, and it's run by Xerox's rules.
Right.
Okay. So
It's their business they're
It's their
generating, but
business.
shared revenue means the county's in business too. In other words, I'm trying to get
exactly.
at.
So what they're doing is they're splitting the money
On the same-
Well,
with
the
with
camera
Suffolk County.
company tells the county where the best money is going to be made.
Right.
The county's
Right, so-
job
well,
is to
right.
to make the money. Like in 2012 here, they made $1,500,000 off of the cameras.
Who's
After
they?
they shortened the yellow lights, the county. After they shortened the yellow lights, they made $15,437,000 1 year later.
Let me see that.
Well, this
So they
is
went
part-
from 1.5 million to 15 million in 1 year.
That's 10 times.
Yeah,
Right,
10
this
times.
is part of the annual
But when you take
report.
one second off of a yellow light, it increases your profit 500%.
Yeah, and so you guys did time the lights, all right?
Yeah, we timed the lights.
Well, Stephen was very successful in
The police officers are coming
videotaping.
forward, thanking us for what we're doing, telling
Yeah,
us
that's
we're right on the
amazing. I
money.
really think
Stephen
that's
was very
amazing.
successful in videotaping intersections and seeing that the light timings for the yellow lights were short.
right.
Okay, and I think since then,
Well, I thank the Suffolk County Police for putting me onto that.
Yeah.
right, but also because of that, then Robert Trotta, he did his own investigation and saw the same thing, and that's where we
What
started
about the
to-
amount of time a stop? Because I got ticketed.
Clearing, when it's clear,
Red light, right on red. I got about 7 tickets in one particular location.
the amount of time to stop.
Because I'm
The
gonna stop,
police
I look
department-
and I go, and I don't know how long I stop, but
the
they
police
got me for not
department
stopping
denies
for 3
the fact
seconds.
that you have to wait 3 seconds. However, if you say I waited 3 seconds, then they call. If you call up and tell them that, they say, well, you have to wait 3 Mississippis.
Yeah, there's nothing in the state law that says that.
That's what they'll tell you.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
it's crazy because there's nothing in the motor vehicle law that says you have to wait a certain amount of seconds. It says you have to make a full
I want to
stop.
I want to get my money back for some
Right.
because I can't take 7.
have
I think
to
it was
give a
7
refund.
tickets in that one location.
Right, it's
Unbelievable.
ridiculous. So
Yeah,
Well, it's through
it's
trickery.
wrong.
It's through trickery of
Yeah.
short and yellow lights. That's how they're making their money. You can't go from 1.5 million to 15 million in 1 year without any kind of trickery.
Without a trick. There's
Yeah.
a trick involved,
Right,
ladies and
absolutely.
gentlemen. We
We're
should
not
all know
stupid.
that.
They want
Listen.
us to think that we're stupid or we're just seeing things. No.
4 red light tickets and for camera operations. I hope you had a lot of information out of this program. Thank you, Stephen Ruth and Hector Gavilla. Societal and political trends are rapidly breaking down the family that once was the cornerstone of our great American culture. At FIT, we know you cannot get this information on your own, so we'll bring it to your TV every single week. And of course, we always invite all opposing views. My name is Chris DiMaggio, and I thank you very much for watching FIT TV, and we'll see you again next week.